Number 3 of the Day 9 Daily, where we learn to be a better gamer. And we're looking at LastShadow. Let's pop into this game where he's in somewhat of an abysmal position. He opened up going Banshee Hellion. I like this on a map like Daybreak, where there's not a ramp that we have to work around. We have a little bit more maneuverability. But it looks like LastShadow is still just going to keep drilling with these Banshees. Does have the one added advantage that this distance from main to main is pretty close. So he's just going to keep shoving it in. Obviously, we don't want to deal with that. That's no good. The look radius from the Spore Crawler is pretty tremendous. We see these LastShadow SCVs here desperately trying to get ready to build an expansion, but I guess it is true that if we open Hellions, there's very little way for our opponent to have a layer up. So just making sure we keep bringing the noise with Banshees around the outskirts will lead us to a lot of success. I wonder if we might want to build a Viking, but that actually seems really risky. Looks like we do not end up... Oh, we do end up killing a queen. And this sort of play... This seems like such a low success rate. I guess if we see that the ramp... Oopsie daisies, that's the wrong button. I guess if we see that the ramp is undefended, we can go do that. But if we don't know this, then there could just be roaches parked there and we get shut down really hard. But now we're starting to build them Marines. I am completely lost in this situation as to what the optimal play is. Like, completely. This is finally something relieving that has occurred, where we're getting in and we're like, finally I'm doing some damage. Zerg is still just way, way, way ahead. Just way ridiculously ahead. So I guess he's just going to be going Marine Hellion Banshee, or excuse me, Marauder Hellion Banshee. This is something that this mixture, going Hellion Banshee Marine or Marauder, Jesus, going Hellion Banshee Marauder is great when we go Command Center first. Marine King Prime went Command Center first, did this exact building mixture when he was up against Dongray Gu at MLG, and it works fantastically. We have plenty of money, we don't have to do crippling damage, we can do quite a bit of damage, but yeah, on one base you can clearly see the atrocious, yucky position that we're in. Okay, that was just... Oh, man. Oh, LastShadow. Oh, cool, there's a horseshoe. And now, are we actually going to go into Marine production? So, I guess the big story that I want to be telling many, many times today is the story of transitions. We said that if by 8 minutes we have 3 barracks with 2 reactors, 1 tech lab, that's 10 Marines a minute. And then by 10 minutes we have 20 Marines, and by 12 minutes we have 40 Marines. We're almost at 12 minutes, and we haven't actually started to do much of anything. We have mostly no workers, not really so much stuff. We were kind of forced into this position from the get-go simply by electing to go for this Banshee-type stuff. And, you know, probably going for factory units, going for Thors and this sort of stuff is going to be the most reasonable thing. We're already going to be getting a ton of Banshees, which interact very well with Thors. They don't interact very well with Marines. I'm just completely puzzled by the optimal plays in these social spots. But since we're close to our opponent, whatever we can get is going to be fine by us. So yeah, at this point in time, LastShadow has declared that he is going mech. It's time to play super passively, and suddenly, I guess I would say that the big goal right now is to deny the 3rd base. I was trying to think more and more how we could possibly transition into Marines, but I guess going for the factory units makes the most logical sense if we really committed to the Banshee Hellion. Not due to the Hellions. Hellions will never really commit us to mech. I've never built so many Hellions that I was like, damn, I can't go Marines at this point. Oh, because you can get all those Hellions off one factory. But when you build a ton of Banshees, you've sunk a ton of gas that you would have liked to get up a bunch of the Marine-focused infrastructure. Actually, the mineral cost of getting this many Banshees with the Hellions also eats into everything. So this is pretty cool, what we're seeing LastShadow do as a transition. I would be comfortable saying you could probably do this every time. Probably every time. Third command center coming up, just generally good mech technique. Is there any Mutalisk coming up? I'm wondering what read LastShadow is using to determine that there can't possibly be any kind of Spire coming up. This might be a little bit of a blunder. This is really nice positioning. Oh, Coca, what happened? Oh, man. I mean, this, I think, very clearly is just not going to go so well, but man. Oh, Coca was in a good spot. So here's one thing about the Hydra list. You can't get away with building it mid-game. This is the biggest use of the Banshees for these sorts of counter pushes without Spire Tech. I think this was just kind of a big blunder that we're seeing the Zerg buddy make. Actually, one thing that's dawning on me now that was not earlier, if we're building Banshee Hellion and we're seeing an extensive amount of roaches pop up, this feeds in nicely to us going for a general mech mix, because if I'm going tank Banshee or even Thor Banshee, roaches are virtually negligible unless they're in absurdly large quantities. In small quantities, tanks and Banshees can easily withstand any kind of counterattack. Per usual, the pre-igniter is one of the last things to get researched. Very last, very last. And now I get to shut down this third. This was such a fortunate win. I cannot for the life of me explain why Coca went for Hydralisk. Oh, oh! Shit! Oh, that stinks. Oh, that was awesome, though. Oh, and the daily degenerates to me just giggling at play. Gosh, I can't. I'm actually kind of speechless. This is one of these fortunate wins that actually shouldn't have happened this way. Yeah, Mutalisks are popping up, and this just totally sucks. Could have done a hell of a lot more damage earlier, but against roaches, just need 2 to 3 tanks. And then all the rest Thors is going to be more than sufficient. Wow. Wow. I'm completely and totally speechless. At least the good part about mech is that you don't really get that many, or you don't really spend that much minerals when compared to your gas, so you can easily flood tons of turrets. Oh my god! Building turrets under Overseers works only against Code S players. You know what? I'm starting to just enjoy myself. I should actually take some questions. Guys, let me know what sorts of things you want. Do I think the Hydras need a buff? I don't think units that you shouldn't be making in the first place need buffs. They're great if you use them correctly, but I think that was just standard not good thing. No way. Let's actually, I want to look at this moment, because I think that anyone would describe that as a little bit of a misstep. Let me actually come back and look at the moment. Looking at the moment. Extra Hydra coming up. Yeah, the Hydra Den. The extra hatch coming up and the Hydra Den coming up. Yeah, I don't see any reason not to get Mutalisks or Infestors. I just can't. The Hydros is just an inexplicable move. I mean, maybe if he's up against... If he was up against pure Banshee Hellion, maybe the Hydra makes sense, but even then, if we're attacking with like 8 Hydras, 6 Hydras... I mean, 5 Banshees kill 6 Hydras, and we see those right there. I cannot for the life of me figure out this maneuver. Oh, there's the scan. I mean, maybe he was confused. What I will say is that, as a general note against mech, not attacking is an extremely solid exploit. Like, mech is amazing still defending. So you just don't give it its greatest strength. You just wait. you just hang out and wait and sit and do nothing. You just hang, you chill, and you expand a lot. And what is his amazing defense going to do against all your expansions? You know, going Hydras and then taking the third, I don't mind at all. Then these Banshees can't really do that much. But I mean, this just, oh man. And now a few minutes later, it's looking dangerously concerning for Coca. Fortunately, our mutas did pop in the back. So again, let's take some questions. Yeah, okay, so here's a great question. Maduyan says, Day 9, do you think that this Banshee play forces Zerg into a path that Mech does well against? There's a number of possibilities. Marine King Prime has transitioned out of Hellion Banshee into Marine Marauder tank, pretty reasonably. But I guess what I would claim is that if we see our opponent going down a certain path, we can respond with Mech. If he's going overly Orochi, overly hatchery techish, then we just go Mech. The only real fear I'd have if I was going Mech was like Mutalisk coming in. But if I'm against slow Roaches, slow Banelings, and I have tank Banshee Hellion, I'm gonna be great. So I suppose that is a great point that Madoin brings up, that the Banshee Hellion mixture is pretty nice at forcing them down to an overly Roach Queen composition, which ends up working well. Newspire is also asking, Day 9, if your Banshee harass early game fails, i.e. doesn't do enough worker damage to justify the cost of 2 Banshees with Cloak, what's a good transition to make? Honestly, the big one that we're seeing here is that you just keep making Banshees and commit to that to force the investment to end up working. I'd only agree with doing that if we have some sort of foil to the Banshees, like the Hellions. Worked very well in large quantities. Trying to think of any situation where I like going Cloak Banshee and then pulling back into Marines. Now that I'm reflecting on that, I don't know. You know, I just can't think of a situation where I really like going Banshee and then pulling back into Marine Marauder. I mean, there's ones that exist, but none that I really like. They're really... That's a stupid answer. That's good enough. That's good enough, damn it. We're sticking with it. We're sticking to it. So, now that we're going Mech, the big danger of going Mech instead of going for Marine Marauder is that we can't really force our opponent to do any composition at all. If we're doing a lot of drops with Marines, we can manipulate his unit positioning. If he's going Infestor, Muta, Ling, Baneling, anything, we can manipulate that. We can push hard, we can scan and do these sorts of things. But if you're going Mech, Zerg gets to do whatever the hell he wants. And you have to have really slow, careful, meticulous position. God, that helicopter is flying so close to my house. Holy cow. Looks like we have the infamous double Baneling nest going down from Slayer's Coca. Looks like a little bit of a meltdown. Is that going to get cancelled? Nah, we want to be able to make Banelings twice as fast. Troll. Troll. So, I do think that this sort of Roach-Ling general mixture with a lot of counterattacking is probably going to be the strongest. But in a tight, packed back position like this, Zerg would definitely need to be taking this expansion, taking this expansion, taking this expansion, forcing the Terran to be hitting a lot of different places at once. But with these direct, straight, slow pushes, it just can't possibly work out well. I'm just excited to see what happens at the end of this game. Mutalisks are pretty decent against a meching player. If you keep making Mutalisks, you can, as long as you know the control trick, and that's the following. You take the mutas and you spread them out a little bit, and so you have the mutas here. Instead of boxing these mutas and right-clicking here, You box the mutas and you click on the mini-map, like here. You right-click here, because if you take your mutas and you click here, then they'll all pack right here. And if you click down here on the mini-map, like this, they'll try to pack right down there, which means that they will not cluster as they fly over the Thors. And then you just hit stop. Or hold position. And then you can keep them really spread out against Thors. So we see this. It looks like it's a little bit clustered, but yeah, basically just right-click down there. Did a really good job keeping them spread out. And yeah, look at that. Boxing, right-clicking over here on the mini-map, keeping them spread out. Oop, oop, they're getting a little clustered there. And with the existence of all these missile turrets, it doesn't work out so nicely. I will, however, note, if this gold expansion were not here, but instead were up here, and then there were another base here, and there was another focus on a base there, the Zerg would easily be able to just control the mid, pull back a little bit, pull back a little bit, pull back a little bit, counter here with the mutas, pull back, and then let's say Terran hits here, then you can have your Zerglings counter in like this, mutas hitting there, and then when the Terran gets here, we do the same attack techniques that we did here. Because if you look at it, this Thor was brand new. Where's the other Thor? There's the other brand new Thor. There were only 2 Thors remaining at the end of this. Could have gone either way, but Zerg needed to be back here for it to go into his favor. I think that's all I really want to say today. I hope to rest a lot this evening and tomorrow evening and to be all alert and primed and pumped and ready, because next week is a fairly large week, beginning this weekend with the MSI Battlegrounds. Monday's just Fun Day Monday, where I want you to send me a game of the closest 2v2 game ever that you've ever played. At any patch time is fine. Also, on Tuesday is the 15-hour streamathon where myself and my friend Tristan will be playing Diablo 3. I have some awesome interviews to show you during then. I'm also going to be joined by Liquid Chef, who will be playing. He said he might do a healer, but I was like, do whatever class you want, man. So we now have an awesome trifecta of badasses doing Diablo 3 on Tuesday. And just general sweet stuff happening throughout the week. Yes! Thanks for everyone who tuned in today. I've been getting lots of really, really nice feedback things via Twitter and via the feedback box, because I've just been kind of out of it this week, and it's just been absolutely delightful to have everyone be all supportive and stuff. So I promise I'll be back on the horse soon enough with enough caffeine. Haha! But remember, the only trick you ever have to do regularly is just to show up. Just show up. Thank you so much for watching. I had fun. Yeah, I love doing the daily. I'm going to be playing the Barbarian. Woohoo! Barbarian! Yeah!